Hey, this is Red Faction Armageddon. We're going to be talking about the video games. It's coffee time or with Total Biscuit or something. Um, there's a few complaints that I have about it, and all of the complaints are this. Red Faction Armageddon is not Red Faction Guerrilla. I mean, I'm going to expand on these. Pretty complex, but that's the entirety of what I'm asking. I mean, the protagonist has had a haircut. That's a major, negative for me as a hair person with hair. But more importantly, they basically took GTA in space. Luke's here, by the way.
Hi.
Hi. A GTA in space, and what they made it into was any other corridor FPS with destructible terrain. Like, literally, that's now what it is. And I don't know why they changed this completely winning formula into a far, far worse generic game. Like, I don't know about Red Faction 1 and 2, I haven't played them. But I can't comprehend why they possibly changed. They changed the enemies now are not humans that you're killing, it's monsters. You kill monsters in pretty shitty environments in comparison to the other game. And that's all that happens. And I'm gonna lose this mode horribly. Anyway, this mode is not representative of the game at all. This is ruin mode, and this is what all of the game should be. It's a game about blowing shit up and then watching it fall over and going ee hee 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 it fall over. And that's all that's good about this game. That's the main selling feature. And it's diminished. Now, there's another mode in this game. It's called Infestation. I'm gonna play offline because I don't have any friends. And this is what this game's like. This is exactly what this game is like. You go to an objective, you press the objective, you fight aliens for an indefinite amount of time.
I have to say, it occurred to me already, but this seems a lot Gears of War. Turned into any corridor shooter, and then, this horde mode.
That's what it is. Like, this is Left 4 Dead with aliens. The aliens! Related, the aliens. What I touched on before is that the aliens aren't people, and instead they're the most frustrating enemies. Like, I don't know what possible design philosophy there was behind making things that, like, without any sort of auto-aim, I think you can unlock a click-to-aim feature. Also, this is a hammer, not a gun. You can unlock a click-to-aim feature. But apart from that, they flit around with no sort of sensible movement patterns at all. Like, you cannot predict where the next place it's going to be is. Which doesn't work because everything is a projectile explosive, and if you're using a gun, then you're wrong! I know. That was a major thing for me. Like, some of the other enemies that you face during the campaign, I guess, are okay, but completely generic within the genre of there's a lot of Tyranids that you have to fight, and at the end there's a big Tyranid, and nothing groundbreaking by any means. None of the... Like, I guess a couple of people might have complained about the other game having the, like, you have to make everyone like you before you can finish Red Factioning. But I had no problem with that at all, because the way that you make people like you is by blowing shit up. It's fine with me. I think I had another thing to say, but I don't remember.
Well, while I stall for you, I'll talk about how I haven't actually played either of these games, but Guerrilla sounds a lot like Just Cause in terms of everything is catalyzed by blowing things up. You need to make people like you by blowing things up. You need to progress the story by blowing things up. And Just Cause 2 is probably the game I've had the most fun with out of any game in the entire generation. Because it's ridiculous, and there is so much blowing things up. And that's gone in favor of Gears of War with destructible terrain.
I don't really understand what what they were going for with this. I think that's a problem that I have. I never encountered this weapon during the game, during the campaign. It's like a light ball. I guess it wasn't explosive enough. This is a shotgun. Everything's gay. The other thing I was going to talk about, your magic, the magic that you get in the form of this nanoforge. I don't really understand why it's necessary that you have magic. Like, you had some magic in the other game, but it was only for a short amount of time, like the backpacks. And then they ran out, you didn't have magic anymore. But you get magic all game in this one. And part of the game that I did like is the repair. Do you get this in multiplayer? Yeah. Is the repair function. Like, you blow shit up. Afterwards, if you feel bad, you can go and repair it.
You can repair things in a game about blowing things up.
Oh wow, you actually can't. You can, but there is no gauntlet. There's only a repair grenade. Anyway, your fix-it glove. I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, because if you're in, well, it's completely necessary. Because if you blow everything up in a room, and the way you get out of the room is at the top of the room, you have to repair the ladder to get back up, and I'm okay with that, because
that makes sense.
It's quite a lot of fun. It's like the Lego game thing, you know, where you reconstruct things out of Lego.
Every Lego game, I would presume, but I don't think I've played any that you're specifically referring to.
Me neither. I'm just really hoping. The same thing comes out of that, of watching things procedurally get put back together after you completely fuck them up. That's an equally, I think, as pleasing as the initial blowing up, if not slightly less, maybe. So I don't really have any problem with that. But as you go on, you get more magic, and one of the pieces of magic, called Shell, is a shield that stops all projectiles and stuns everything in the vicinity for the duration. And when you get it, all combat stops being challenging. You can already pretty much, like, roll your way out of awkward situations from minute 1. But eventually you run out of health, things are shooting you all the way. But then you don't need cover anymore, because you can just... I don't think I have it in this. Find out in about 5 seconds. I do not. You can shell yourself on cooldown, have a little weighty, run to the next objective, have a little weighty, and that's what the game goes on like forever, because it fundamentally stops half of the game being objectives and half of it being arenas where you have to fight things until you can run to the next objective, and says no, now you just have to run from one to the other.
You can just... Yeah, you didn't explain that very well to me, since I can't see. You can just put up a shell around yourself that means you don't die. Is that the point?
Yeah, exactly. And because of regenerating health and such, it literally means you don't die, unless you get stun locked, which maybe like a couple of times in the entire game I got stun locked. That's pretty much all I have to say about the thing, and I'm done, I think. You have any parting thoughts?
Well, there's one thing I don't know if you mentioned, but you've mentioned to me before this, is just, despite all of this, it is pretty good at being a corridor shooter.
That's a valid observation. If I was going to play Bulletstorm, and you gave me this game, I would be very happy with the Bulletstorm that you'd given me, because it does it well. The protagonist is not particularly hateable, despite having no hair. The plot is adequate. I didn't find myself hating what was going on. Like, oh, this is completely stupid. They did retain the fact that you can blow everything up. They didn't make it very incentivized to blow things. Salvage! That's the point that I was thinking of before. The way that you get more magic isn't upgrading by talking to a guy. It's going to stations where you hand in salvage. Like, I love the fact that you salvage things from existing, like, functioning Mars structures. Like, blow up a guy's house. Ah, I got some salvage. The salvage system doesn't really work. Like, you get very little resources from actually blowing shit up, and almost all of it is through welfare salvage that will be directly in front of you. Like, there's a corridor. In the middle of the corridor, there's 200 salvage. You can spend 5 minutes blowing up a city, and you'll get maybe 30. The really imbalanced incentives there. That's one I had a problem with. Other than that, a few gripes: mandatory vehicle sections, escort parts, no underwater level, thankfully. But tropes there that really, I think we can move past as arbitrary. What shall we do for this bit? Well, you know, gameplay stocking fillers. That's I don't think they're necessary to be in a game that's released in 2011. But other than that, play the previous game. Don't. And if you played the previous game, continue to play the previous game, because nothing changes for the better. The plot is isolated. You're not going to get any sort of continuity out of it. Play Red Faction Guerrilla. That's what I'm saying.